Okay, y'all. So I landed in Greece during a scheduled 24-hour taxi strike and had no idea. I feel like British Airways should have warned me or warned us, but that's here nor there because they got us to our destination safely, and so really anything more than that is extra. I still would have hoped that y'all would have told us though. But anyways, so I got off the flight. It's 1 a.m. I grab my bags, skedaddle happily out of baggage claim, passing like 4 Vodafone shops, all of which are closed, when I was expecting to grab me a little 10 euro pay-as-you-go SIM. The lady at the info desk said they don't open until 6 a.m. Yikes. Whatever. I turn around and I see a WH Smith, and that's where I bought my UK SIM. So surely they'll have a SIM card. No. So anyways, I'm like, now I have to turn on my US phone, which is AT&T, for their best international plan. $12 a day, AT&T, count your days. Highway robbery. When I get back to America, I'm switching to T-Mobile. But anyways, so now it's time to head out and go to my Airbnb. I go outside, I see a line of about 5 taxis, and I'm like, great. No line of people, nothing. They're all huddled. All the taxi drivers are all huddled talking to each other. So I'm like, hi, taxi. One of them looks at me and he's like, oh, no, we're on strike. And I'm like, you're joking, right? And he's like, no, we're on strike until 6 a.m. So now I'm like, what? Like another black sister walks over, hey girl, and she's like, taxi, and I'm like, girl, they on strike. Her jaw drops. She walked back inside. So the taxi driver asks where I'm going, and I show him, and he's like, oh yeah, you can take a blah 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 bus, and then you can catch a taxi there. Now me, I'm not trying to get stuck nowhere else to go find out taxis over there striking too. I would rather be stuck in the airport, so I went back in the airport. So I get back into the airport. I put my address into Free Now and Uber, and it's searching and searching and searching. Nothing. I'm like, oh my goodness. My Airbnb host has said something about taking the train, so I look up the train. Next train don't run till 6:37. It's 2 a.m. at this point. So I walk back to the info stand, and she's like, yes, the taxis are on strike and the trains don't run until 6:30 in the morning. She's like, let me map the bus for you. She maps it, and she's like, the nearest stop to where you're staying is a 15-minute walk. And that area is no good for walking at night. Now let's talk about that real quick. Almost every Airbnb I saw people in the comments saying not to walk at night. And now that I've been here and walked at night, I don't agree. Maybe it's because I'm from East New York, for real. But like, there don't be that much people outside. People just be walking their dogs, you know. And plus, like, gun ownership is relatively restricted out here. So, I mean, the playing field's really even if you really think about it, you know. Because I can fight. So, but anyways, I say all that to say I feel very safe in Greece. But the 15-minute walk from the bus stop, on the other hand, if Italy taught me anything, I am not walking with a suitcase without knowing what that looks like, what that walk looks like, okay? So that I was not in for without knowing, you know, what was about to happen. So at that point, I pretty much decided I was gonna be at the airport until 6 a.m. I walked back to my phone that I had left charging only to see that an Uber had accepted, called me, and canceled because I didn't answer the phone. So after that, I really was toe up. So I'm like, what am I about to do? I look over and I catch eyes with the same black girl from earlier. So I walked over to her and asked her what she was gonna do. And to my surprise, she just relocated to Greece and was waiting for her aunt to come pick her up. So she asked me if I had any options, if I was gonna be at the airport till 6 a.m. And I told her yes. So she said that she was gonna ask her aunt to drop me home. So we waited, and once her aunt got there, her aunt, super nice lady, she's like, oh, I'm actually not the one driving, my tenant, he's driving, he's Greek. We can ask him if he'll drop us, if he'll drop you. I'm not sure what he's gonna say. So we go out there, and as we pass the taxi stand, I see people getting into taxi. I see a man loading his suitcase into the taxi. I'm like, wait, I thought y'all weren't working. And he's like, oh, for emergencies, we have some cars to the side. I'm like, what's emergency? Because I feel like I qualify for an emergency here at 2 a.m. as a tourist, stuck at the airport. No trains. But anyways, he's like, oh, these people are here waiting. I have to take them first. I'm like, I came to you an hour ago. Honestly, I walked away because I walked away before I started to feel like it was because I was black. Because surely it wasn't that. Surely it was not that, right? So then I walked to this lady's tenant, and she asked in Greek if he could give me a ride, and he basically was like, taxi. She told him they're on strike. He was like, bus. She couldn't figure out how to say it was unsafe, so I pulled up ChatGPT, told him it was unsafe, and he basically was like, yeah, well. So me, I'm too proud to beg. So I turned to my new black friend, and I turned to her auntie, and I said, thank you so much for trying. I really appreciate it, but I'm gonna head back inside. And I could see the sadness on their face. They were like, oh, I'm so sorry, get home. It's like, we hope you make it home safely, blah, blah, blah. Her aunt was like, if I could drive, I would drop you. I'm so sorry. It was like, don't worry about it, like, it's okay. Yeah, honestly, at this point, I broke down. I broke down and I started crying because I'm like, why did I come to this country? Should I leave? Why didn't I go to Spain or straight to Portugal? Because what's going on here? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So I go sit down inside. I decided to give Uber one last try. And finally, a driver accepted from 20 minutes away. And he wrote me and asked if it was okay that he was so far. And I'm like, that's fine. Take your time, sweetie. You know, just get here. Just get here. So when he gets to 10 minutes away, the taxi driver from outside comes inside and walks up to me and is like, you still need a taxi? I'm like, no, I have an Uber. He got mad and was like, Uber won't be able to get in and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, he's 10 minutes away. So, and he got an attitude and walked away. He came back and was like, are you going to the center? And I was like, I don't know what that means. I have the address to where I'm going, but I don't know if it's in the center. And he's like, when I tell y'all, this man was getting so angry, like angry. Then this guy sitting next to me, he literally turns and he's like, ignore him, like, And he was just like, take your Uber, don't worry about him, he's ignorant, like, don't worry about him. So, anyways, that guy ended up being so nice. He lived in Holland, but he was Algerian. We spoke for the next 10 minutes until my Uber came. Shout out to that Uber driver. He low-key was falling asleep a little. And when I noticed, I was politely said, like, oh, this is my exit, because he was about to miss the exit. He took the exit and turned and was like, why did you say that? And I was like, I wasn't sure if you were going to miss it. So he's like, no, I wasn't. I was like, let me sit back and shut up, because I'm not trying to get put out of this man's car. I just want to make it to my Airbnb, please, Lord. So anyway, finally, I reached to my Airbnb, and I honestly could have cried, but it was not over yet. Once I got the keys from the lockbox and entered the building, I almost passed out from stress and I could not find the apartment, y'all. The instructions were so clear. It was like, first floor apartment, there's a thingy hanging from the door. And I'm looking for this thingy hanging from the door. The building is dark as fuck. I got my flashlight walking up and down this building like, where is the apartment? Thankfully, I remembered that in some countries, the first floor is floor 0. So when she said it was a first floor apartment, it was actually on the second floor. So I went upstairs and thank God there was the apartment. And I made it inside, and I was wondering if I should still leave, for real. Honestly, I was like, why did I come to these people's country? Like, is this gonna be a reflection of my entire experience? But honestly, since then I've been having a blast, so I forgive y'all, British Airways, taxi people, uh, everybody who did not help me, you know. But I forgive y'all, and I actually love Greece so far. So British Airways, count your days for dropping me off in Greece at 1 a.m. without warning me of the upcoming craze. As I woke from my sleepy haze, I walked to the taxi stand and the drivers looked me in my face and said, "We're on strike." I laughed until I realized he was seriously telling me to take a hike since there were no trains for the rest of the night. Cancel this trip now. When is the next flight?